Hi, everybody. My name is Clint Heffern, and this is my EDL 854 Module 11 case study. So first off, section 1, to summarize, this is what we know. These are the facts. This is all the information that we have to start. So I am Mr. Santos. I'm the principal of Briardale Elementary School. And Briardale is a K through 5 elementary school with 600 students. It's one of 6 elementary schools in the district. There are 2 middle schools and 1 high school. Each school site has a foundation, so each elementary school has a foundation that's chaired by parent representatives as the foundation's presidents. And so what those foundations do is they work to raise money to give to each school, elementary school, their principal. That way it can be used for supplementary material. So Mr. Bailey, who is a Harvard graduate, he's a new parent to the community. He's the foundation president for the year at Briardale Elementary. He's really motivated. He's competitive. He wants to raise a lot of money for the school. He is also, Mr. Bailey is also friends with another elementary foundation president whose name is Mr. Morley. They're former fraternity brothers from Harvard. And also, again, very competitive there. So Mr. Bailey he wants to start a fundraiser to sell raffle tickets in exchange for winning cash. And he had this idea from an event they did in his college fraternity. So he develops a strategy to sell the tickets, presents this idea to the foundation, and the foundation approves it. They think it's a great idea. So they sell the tickets. They have the night of the raffle drawing. It's held at Briardale Elementary School. And apparently, these are the words that were used, apparently someone from the community tipped off the sheriff to the raffle, or tipped off to the sheriff of the raffle. So the sheriff arrives at the first raffle ticket. It's about to be drawn. And he basically asked Mr. Bailey to come to the sheriff's station with him. Mr. Bailey was booked and released, later charged with a misdemeanor and placed on probation for his role in the raffle. A huge debacle, it's a big scene for the community. I'm Mr. Santos, the principal. I'm embarrassed. The whole ordeal was on the front page of the newspaper. So just a big, not a good public newsletter for our school. So section 2, legal and ethical issues. These are the legal and ethical issues with the information that we have right now. First off, nobody was harmed. Nobody was harassed or discriminated against. There was no breach of contact. Everything seemed of good intent. With the information we have right now, everything seemed of good intent. This is the point that sticks out to me is Mr. Bailey presented this idea to the foundation, and they all agreed with the idea. They thought it was a good idea. So it wasn't like Mr. Bailey went behind the scenes, was stealing money, was trying to devise a plan, behind everybody's back with the information that we know now. Could that have been the issue? Maybe. But as far as we know, nobody was harmed. Nobody was harassed. This was all done in good intent. They were just trying to raise a lot of money. Now, we did violate a law. We needed to get the right approval and licensure from the state of Kansas to have a raffle fundraiser. So we did violate a law, and that is serious. We didn't have the proper licensure, but as far as I'm concerned, this could have been a lot worse, and we still need to look into it, but it could have been a lot worse. Section 3, summarizing this in one sentence, Mr. Bailey, the new foundation president at Briardale Elementary School, led a raffle ticket for cash fundraiser within the community to raise money for supplementary material for the elementary school, but was charged with a misdemeanor by the local sheriff's office for not following the proper legal procedures. Section 4, synthesizing the facts. So the people that we're dealing with, I am Mr. Santos, the principal at Briardale Elementary School. Mr. Bailey is the main person we're dealing with. He's a foundation president. He's a new parent, new president of the foundation, new to the community. He's a Harvard graduate, and he was a fraternity brother at Harvard with Mr. Morley. Mr. Morley was, again, former Harvard fraternity brother of Mr. Bailey. He's a foundation president for another elementary school in the district, and they were competitive with each other. And then we deal with the sheriff a little bit, the foundation people just a little bit, but the main person in this is Mr. Bailey. The place, kind of the demographics of the place, it's Briardale Elementary School. It says has about 600 students, K through 5. It's one of 6 elementary schools. There are 2 middle schools and 1 high school. It's a diverse community. We're dealing with the elementary foundations with those schools. And so we're assuming it's decently urban just by the numbers of 600 students in one of 6 elementary schools, but it doesn't come out and say that. So what kind of programs is that? K through 5 public school foundations for each elementary school that are led by student parents, which are seeking to raise funds for supplementary material to be used, presented to principals and used for the kids, for the students. Section 5, review and prioritize. This is what we know with the information we have. So first off, the conflict has already been damaging for the school, the community, the principal, the parents, the students, and Mr. Barely. It's just not been a good PR, public relations event. The superintendent, who are our stakeholders here, or have a stake in the outcome? The superintendent, the leadership, the principal, myself, the parents, the students, the foundations have a big stake in this outcome. Just basically, a lot of people in the community have a stake in this outcome, but the foundation definitely at the head of that, and the leadership, the principal, we all have a stake in that outcome. Have all relevant stakeholders been contacted? Not yet. We can still contact, and we need to contact our superintendent. We probably need to get a lawyer involved to make sure we're covering, all bases. And we definitely need to learn more about the situation, because like I mentioned earlier, as far as we know right now, this seems like an honest mistake. It has, yes, caused a big public scene, but as far as we know right now, seems like it was all in good intent, and we just did not have the proper licensure. Section 6, what kind of options do we have? So some potential options and consequences. Kind of first and second one here are a little more extreme, but number one, an option is we can just do nothing. We have no action. We live with the misdemeanor, and we just work on moving forward from this event, because the event, it's already happened. People in the community know about it. So we can, option number one, just do nothing and go forward. I don't agree with that, but that is an option. Option number two is we can relieve Mr. Barely from his position as foundation president. So basically fire him, maybe file a lawsuit against him and say, he was despising against us, or maybe he was doing some illegal activity. We can investigate the matter. We can cut ties with the foundation completely, to try to kind of separate ourselves, our school, from the foundation and this big kind of legal ordeal. Again, that's kind of extreme, but that is an option. Option number three is we can meet with everybody. So come together, find out as much information as we can. Meet with the superintendent, meet with Mr. Barely, myself, the principal, meet with the foundation people, even meet with the sheriff to find out more about the situation. What all exactly happened? Are we missing anything? Let's get everybody's opinion in here, get all the information possible, and just find out more about the situation. Number four is make a public statement to the community. So those are kind of some options. The first and second being a little more extreme, but now section 7, we're going to weigh the pros and cons of those options. So for option number one, no action, don't do anything, just move on. It's already happened. The pros to that are we don't have to spend any more time or effort looking into that situation. That's probably going to cost money if we if we investigate, if we hire a lawyer, whatever. So a pro to doing nothing is it's not extra work, not extra money. Now some cons to that is that's definitely not a good look in the community. People would be questioning what we're doing. It would leave some distrust in the community. It does not address the situation at all, and that is not what people are looking for. So option number two, relieve Mr. Barely of his position, file a lawsuit against him, investigate, cut ties with the foundation, completely try to rid ourselves from the foundation and what has happened. The pros to that are, we're really putting our foot down. We're showing we're strict. We're putting the blame on someone. Everybody wants to put blame somewhere, so we're putting the blame on someone. And we are disassociating ourselves with Mr. Barely and the foundation. We're trying to not be associated with that bad kind of PR. So the cons of that, it's probably going to be expensive. It's probably going to be a long process. And does Mr. Barely really deserve this? As far as we know right now, he was doing this to try to help the school, to raise as much money for the school and for the students. So I don't think this is fair to him, and even the foundation, as the foundation has raised a lot of money for the school and to be used for the kids throughout the year. So I don't really think this is fair or the right move. Option number 3, meet with everyone and find out more about the situation. So meet with the superintendent, meet with Mr. Barely, myself, the principal, meet with the foundation, contact the sheriff. Let's find out more about the information or about the situation. So some pros to this are we learn more, we get more information, we show that we are looking into the issue and not just moving on from it and kind of trying to kick it under the rug. We show that we are looking into the issue. And when we do make a decision, it's an informed decision. We have gathered all the information and we have made the best decision with what we know. Some cons to that. Basically, the only con I thought to that is it's going to take time, which is a con, but I don't think it's a terrible con. The last option, number 4, make a public statement to the community. Pros of this is it shows that we are taking this matter serious. It shows that we're not just sweeping it under the rug. We're communicating to our stakeholders who have a role in our school district and in our students' lives, and it shows that we are seeking the best solution for our students ultimately. Cons of this is it is tough to make statements after embarrassing situations like this, but I do think that's not a bad con. It shows that we do care. So section 8, what is the best option? And I think the best option is a combination of option 3 and 4. So let's make a public statement to the community right at the beginning and say, hey, we are looking into this. We are going to gather information and make a decision, but we are looking into this. And then let's meet with everybody, meet with the superintendent, Mr. Barely, foundation, the sheriff, meet with everybody, gather all information possible. And as we're doing that, if this is a long process, we need to go back to point number 1 and continue to keep the community updated and make public statements to them and let them know what's going on as this process is taking place. So it shows our stakeholders that we're looking into this, getting all the information possible before we make a decision on how to move forward. Just letting them know what is going on right now. So that is using our data in the right way to develop a plan for how we're going to go about this. And section 9 here, implementing the decision, exactly what we're going to do. This is exactly what we're going to do. First, let's meet with everybody, first, I, the principal, want to meet with the superintendent and come up with a statement to release to the community. So this is, as soon as this is all taking place, hey, before we just start on our path, I'm going to get with my boss, the superintendent, and say, let's make a statement to the community saying, let's look into this. So I'd come up with a statement, make sure it's approved by the superintendent, and let's communicate this to the community on multiple platforms, social media platforms, so that as many people can be reached as possible and say, hey guys, this is a very serious matter. We're looking into this. We will let you know and keep you updated as we go. But let's make a statement to the community right away to try to let them hear from us and know that we are taking this very serious. And then point number 3 here, after that first statement, let's get everybody together. Get the superintendent, Mr. Barely, myself, the principal, the foundation, the sheriff, as many people with information on this event. Let's get them all together, see what really happened, if we're missing anything, and decide from there if there's illegal activity taking place. Maybe do we need to pursue or look into something else more? That's when we can get all our information and see what our next step is. If there was no illegal activity, then let's come up with a plan to put procedures in place to prevent this from occurring in the future. So, come up with a specific plan. We're going to follow this step, this step, this step, to prevent this from happening in the future. And then release another statement to the public of our findings from our investigation. And hey, these are the new plans going forward, to let them know what has happened and what we have found and how we're going to go forward. New plans support school improvement and student overall success. So we're never perfect, but we need to take steps to get there. So if we devise a new plan on how to prevent this in the future, that is taking a step towards school improvement and overall student success. So again, just in conclusion, is this a serious issue? Yes, and we want to let the community know that it's a serious issue. But as far as we know with the information right now, this was all done in good intent. We just did not have the proper licensure. So we want to look into that, keep the community aware as we're going and working forward. But it could have been worse, and we want to devise a plan to prevent this from happening in the future. So thank you guys. Yeah, have a good day.